Hello, my friends. Welcome to the SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream number 69. Is that possible? Number 69. Hey, everybody. My name is Jonathan. I'm here for your questions. In between your questions, I got a lot to share with you, but your questions come first. When you have a question, put a few question marks in advance, put it in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer your guitar-related question. I hope you had a great week. Beautiful weather here in Connecticut. Man, any of you who are struggling with bad weather, I am so sorry. People around here keep saying we could use some rain, and I think, no, I do not want any rain. Who wants rain, man? Nice autumn weather here in Connecticut. Yeah, Rock Lobster, you can confirm that, right? You got it. Bruce from Sydney, Australia. Bruce, my wife and I are watching an Australian TV series called Troppo. Troppo, and we are enjoying it quite a bit. Don't know if you saw that. I thought of you, and Cheryl and I said, well, maybe we'll see if Bruce might be watching that. It's from a couple of years ago, I guess, but maybe you saw that TV series, Troppo. Very cool. Everybody, here is my advice. Some of you might not know how to do a screen grab off of your computer, like a screenshot on your phone, right? But the actual desktop or laptop computer version of it, you're going to want to learn how to do that. Maybe Google it right now. On my Windows computer, you simultaneously press down the Windows button, kind of looks like a flag, 4 little squares, looks like a flag, and the print screen button at the same time. I don't know how it works on your computer, but we're going to be trying something new this week that I think you're going to dig, and you're going to want to do a screen grab of that. So if you don't know how to do a screen grab on your computer, now's the time to learn how to do it. Maybe you can Google it, figure it out. If you do know how, get ready to do it, because I'm going to throw some stuff up on the screen, and guess what? You can just grab it, and then, you know, the learning process would be that much easier, if you know what I mean. So here's why I bring it up. I got some stuff to show you, to throw your way. Do you remember a few weeks ago, we talked about a book that I came across. It actually belonged to one of my students, and he said, check out this book. And I thought, what? That looks great. And I said, I gotta borrow that book for a minute and make a copy of it. And I did. And it struck me as a very early version of a rock book, basically, you know. And what I did was I read through the book. Let me see if I can find this image to share with you guys. Of course, when you want it, you can't find it. Anyways, a groovy book, a very groovy book. And I want to share it with you guys. Okay, don't worry. We'll get to it in a minute. I'm going to show you a riff that essentially comes out of this pretty early rock and roll guitar book. And I'll throw that up on the screen, and you guys can do a screen grab, and life is good. Okay, other things that we have to look forward to today. We're going to talk about a woman who has been called the most future-thinking guitarist. As soon as I saw the description, I had to stop everything and discover this very talented person. So we're going to talk about the most future-thinking guitarist. Nothing like the first time. What am I talking about? I'll tell you. Remember last week I said, here's a list of questions I would ask a neuroscientist if I could corner a neuroscientist at a party and say, oh, I have some music-related questions for you. I forgot a big one, and it has to do with nothing like the first time. So I will clarify and elaborate on that little thing. I have a kind of a funny student story to share with you. A funny thing happened when a student was getting ready to come to his lesson this week, and he shared it with me, and I will share it with you. I have a student quote of the week. It's a good one. I have my own dumb question of the week for you. Of course, you have a play-along song of the week. I believe this play-along song today is our 50th, 50. Holy moly, that's a lot. And it's a good one, and it's appropriate for autumn and October. But it's also just a classic song. So we have that to look forward to. Let's see, the major blues scale. I hooked up my looper, my little Ditto brand looper, so I could illustrate what you can do with the major blues scale once I show it to you. I'm going to play along with my looped rhythm guitar. And of course, we're going to talk about some of the coolest musicians on YouTube. Man, and that ought to keep us hopping. If any of you are Pogues fans, I have, and Shane MacGowan. There's a tribute to Shane MacGowan, a couple of them coming up a little bit later in the season in December. So I'm a fan of Shane MacGowan and the Pogues, in case you are as well, and in case you happen to live in England, you might want to know about this. A couple of tribute concerts, tributes to Shane MacGowan. So, okay, Bruce has a great question. Bruce says, Jonathan, what do you look for in great guitar playing? I look for something a little bit unusual, unusual tone, unusual note choices, someone who doesn't play what I expect them to play, someone who catches me off guard a little bit. And I try to keep an open mind, and I think I do have an open mind. Someone who plays something I just haven't heard before, an unusual sequence of notes if they're playing a lead guitar solo, an unusual tone. In fact, sometimes I might not even like the person's tone, but I think to myself, well, they were going for something, and at least they're trying to sound a little bit different. A lot of my favorite guitar players have a less is more kind of approach, and I might just put in a couple of sweet little notes that sound so good, and of course, I'm only human. I admire those players who can play so crazy fast. I mean, it takes a lot of talent and skill to play that fast. I get it, but I certainly don't look for that. I appreciate it when I hear super fast, crazy guitar playing, but it's not what I look for. I just give them credit for all the work that must have gone into doing that. Here's another way to put it into words. I love when it sounds like the guitarist is playing for the song, doing what makes a song sound solid and memorable. That's easier said than done. I'm a big fan of Steve Cropper. I got my Steve Cropper book handy. You'll find out why in a little while. I'm a big fan of Ry Cooder, Keith Richards. As a kid, I listened to The Who so much. I mean, a lot. And listening back now, my ears are a little bit different. I'm so familiar with The Who's, basic, catalog. But now I hear Pete Townshend's guitar playing in a different way. Now that I've been playing guitar for a few decades, I like Pete Townshend's playing quite a bit. And the Beatles, man, it's hard. If someone asks me about my favorite anything, my favorite songs, my favorite band, my favorite drumming, anything, I almost forget about the Beatles because they're so overwhelmingly part of my musical consciousness, if that doesn't sound too pretentious. So any guitar note ever played on any Beatles record, I'm sure has stuck with me. So, Bruce, those are some of the things that come to mind. And there's plenty of guitar playing that goes over my head, but that doesn't mean I don't admire it. In fact, this woman who has been described as the most future-thinking guitarist, I don't know what she's doing, but I find it very provocative, meaning it gets me thinking. Right? I think, whoa, what's going on there, and why? I know what I'm hearing is unusual. So what's happening? What's making it unusual? So those are some of the things. Joseph, you're mentioning the guitar player from Polyphia. I haven't heard that band. I've heard of them. I know it's supposed to be, something worth checking out. The fastest shredder, you say, huh, Joseph? The fastest. See, that's the thing. To make myself feel better, so I don't feel like I'm a slow guitar player. And maybe this will work for you guys. If you think of making music on your guitar as the same as speaking with your voice, right? None of us aspire to speak faster, right? In fact, if you're around someone who talks too fast, like me on my second cup of coffee, it's almost annoying. It's too much. Like, why are you talking so fast? So I know we all admire fast guitar players, but if what we do is communication, then doing it fast is not necessarily something we are hoping to hear, right? You don't go out and, oh man, I hope I meet someone today at this party that talks really fast. Wow, they must have really worked on their talking. They're talking so fast. You go to hear a speech, a presentation, whatever. In fact, almost the last thing you want is some joker who's talking too fast, right? So why do we want to hear fast guitar playing? My opinion is we don't really want to hear it, not for too long. We want to hear it just long enough so that we say, wow, that person's good. And that's an unusual thing. And then my opinion is we'd rather go back to hearing someone who's speaking to us and presenting something to us, and they're thinking about us as they present it and not trying to talk as fast as possible, right? So this is how I rationalize the fact that I am not the world's fastest shredder. And maybe I don't want to be any more than I want to be the fastest talker. Does that make sense, right? You know, especially if you have something important to say, why are you rushing it? You know, but like I said, this is how I rationalize my level of guitar playing. Scott Rhodes says, if you had $100 to spend at a music store, what would you look at? I'll tell you, because I just spent $100. It happened to be at Sweetwater. I forgot to use my own affiliate link. It turns out that I can use my own Sweetwater affiliate link, and Sweetwater kicks a little bit back to me, and I forgot to do it. Oh, well. Guitar tuning pedal. In fact, why not throw it up on the big screen? I'll show you the one I got because it has such a good reputation. And if you want to, you can use the affiliate link in the description of this video. And there we go. And you might say, what about clip-on tuners? Don't you just want a clip-on tuner? Why is a clip-on tuner not good enough? It is totally good enough. Totally. I just don't want to have this thing clipped to my headstock all the time. I like the idea of having a tuner. Okay, there we go. Stand by, my friends. So share screen. Sure, I want to share the screen. There we go. Okay, how about that? Okay, so there you go. That's how I just spent $100. Now you might say, no, Jonathan, you spent $150. Kind of, sort of. My lovely wife had gifted me a Sweetwater gift card for my birthday, and I applied the gift card, and that got the price down. So anyways, there you go. That's how I spent $100 recently. The Peterson Strobo Stomp HD pedal tuner, 10 times the price of your perfectly adequate clip-on tuner. Do you need this? Maybe. I just like the idea of having stuff at my feet that's on all the time, and I can just access it easily. And you guys have heard me say this before. I just don't love the way a performer looks. I'm not talking about in the comfort and quiet of your own practice studio. I don't love the way a performer looks with this black thing hanging off their the headstock of their guitar. Personal preference. So that's where I'm at. So Scott, if I had to come up with another purchase for $100, hold on here. Let's go back to this. I mean, the practical side of me says, you know, a bunch of strings, like a big box of my favorite D'Addario strings, you know, just get a box of whatever you can get for $100, you know, hopefully a box of 10 strings, you get a little change back, maybe. $100, well, a pedal in general. I could use a reverb pedal. My cute little Fender Pro Junior amp with 2 knobs. Neither knob is reverb. So you know, I might talk to Santa Claus about a hip reverb pedal, especially if it's $100 or less. Because you can get a lot of, I think, a lot of really good pedals for around $100 or less. There's some ideas. So, yep. Bruce, you were at the beach, at the coast for a beach holiday, but you didn't bring your guitar. I get you. I get you. Yeah. No, you know what? You get a pass. It might appear that I'm going to wet my whistle with a cup of coffee. Nothing could be further from the truth. Some beautiful cider. Oh, you can see that in the shot. Some beautiful cider. Today's cider, I can only find it in a big, large size, from Mayer Brothers. Mayer Brothers apple cider from West Seneca, New York. The good, hardworking people from West Seneca, New York. They press a fine cider. I try to keep things classy here on the live stream and not drink directly from the plastic bottle on camera. I don't know. I try. Okay. Have you figured out how to do a screen grab yet? Because we're about to start our first thing that involves a screen grab. Okay. I tell you what, I'll throw it up on the screen while I get ready. Here comes, there we go. Okay, that looks good. And while I throw this up, I will explain why I'm doing this. Boom. Okay, how about that? And how about that? Can you see that okay? Of course you can. Soul Man, do by Sam and Dave. The Blues Brothers didn't create this song, right? Soul Man. And that's why I have my Steve Cropper book handy. So why are we talking about Soul Man, aside from the fact that it's just a great song? Lyrics and music by David Porter and Isaac Hayes. Two people extremely involved with Stax Records down in Memphis, Tennessee, where Steve Cropper was also involved. So why are we talking about Soul Man? Okay. The very early rock and roll guitar instructional book that my student brought to a lesson a few months ago, and I scanned it because I wanted to, sort of have a copy for myself. And then ultimately I just ordered my own copy off of eBay. I found an eBay copy for like $12 or something. So that'll be coming next week. It's a very cool book, but what is curious to me about this book, and I'm going to find the cover here. There we go. And show you the cover. You guys might remember this. The book uses the word Memphis almost synonymously with rock and roll, rock/blues. They talk about the Memphis-style this, the Memphis-style that. And so because I am semi-obsessed with guitar teaching and how other teachers and other authors present stuff, of course, I had to hear what was up. I had to sort of read the mind of this person who wrote this very early guitar book from the early 70s and figure out what is going on. Why are they referring to Memphis so much? And I realized pretty quickly that they were talking about, there we go. They were talking about what I would call Stax Records, Steve Cropper style guitar. And so that's why you are looking at Soul Man on your screen. And I hope you guys can do a screen grab of that. Okay. Now, if you, hold on here. If you haven't done it yet, that's okay. We're going to come back to it, but I can't resist. I got to show you the cover one more time. Okay, here we go. Here is the cover of the book. There you go. Can you see that right there? Yeah, you got that. Everybody see that cover okay? Mel Bay's lead guitar, rock blues guitar groove featuring slide guitar by Tony Menke. It's a very cool book, but I feel like they want to get as much market share as possible. They just threw every word in here. Lead guitar, rock blues guitar groove featuring slide guitar. I don't know why slide guitar is in quotes. I don't know why lead guitar is in quotes up at the top of the page. There's a lot that I don't know. Okay, so now let's go back to Soul Man so we can get down to business here. Where you go, Soul Man? Hold on a second. long story short, this is what they're talking about. When they say Memphis style, this is a great example. Now, they don't teach this song, but all the examples they give relate. I mean, this is a really classic example of what they're talking about. Come on, where'd you go here? Window, okay. Let's try this again. Come on, Soul Man. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Oh, come on. And if I think of it, I'll tell you a funny Soul Man story where I had an opportunity to use the Soul Man riff. Okay, come on now. I think I got too many windows open. That's okay. You can be that way. Okay, come on, Soul Man. All right. Well, while I'm figuring that out, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on the big board right behind me. Okay, so here's the deal. The Soul Man riff, Memphis style. Is it blues? Yeah. Is it rock? Yeah. Is it soul music? Definitely. It's Memphis music. So I can see where the author of this book is coming from. I guess I get it. I'm going to put this over here. You know, this was the early 70s. And again, I don't think this book was necessarily the first popular music, you know, rock and roll kind of book, but it's the earliest one I've seen. There we go. Recognize that, right? Oh, what a great riff. Okay, so Memphis style guitar. A lot of implying of chords, right? As you can see, there's no chords on that page, but there kind of are, because that 7/7 right there, where you end up, you slide. By the way, use your middle finger, third string, slide from 5 up to 7. That's what that little slash mark right there means. That 7/7, those are 2 of the 3 notes of a G chord. And that's the appropriate chord that's going on in the song. Songs in the key of G. Okay, so even though there are no chords present, what the author of that book is presenting basically is what a Memphis style guitar player would do with chord changes. These kind of melodic ideas, you know, that 5 and 5. Those 2 notes reflect an F chord. You know, if you did an F chord, bear with me, an F chord with a D formation or a G chord with a D formation, right? 7, 8, 7. There's a G chord. It's a D chord that's the name has changed and changed and changed. But instead of playing all 3 of those notes, they boil it down just to those 2 7s. So all those little sliding notes are reflecting different chords in a very melodic kind of way. So Memphis style. I had my ring finger on the first E string that whole time. And like I said, my middle finger on the 3rd string. So when you see a number and a slash and another number, pretty obvious you're sliding from that number, that 5, up to that 7, or from this 7 over to that, down to that 5. If you see just a slash mark leading up to a number, then it doesn't matter where you begin the slide, as long as it's on that string, right? Whatever you do, don't overthink it. Typically, if they don't tell you where to begin the slide, you back up 1 or 2 frets and begin 1 or 2 frets away. But it's going to be, the idea is that it's such a fast slide that the listener doesn't even hear where you started, because you you get to the end destination so quickly, it just doesn't matter. So there you go. You know, what a great riff. Memphis-style, you know. So the book has plenty of examples like that. And where are we here? Plenty of examples like that. And there we go. And, you know, in hindsight, that's where, you know, I can see that's where the author is coming from. I wanted to throw this back up on the screen for you. I'm not sure why it's not letting me do that. I might maybe have too many things open at the same time, but that's not fair. Okay, let's try it one more way. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, no. Okay. All right. Well, you got it behind me, and hopefully you got a screen grab. Now, keep that screen grab ability handy, because I'm going to do the same thing, knock on wood, with some other learning material. Hey, you guys got a copy of the new book yet? I know a bunch of you did, because a bunch of orders came in the past week on my website, song-bike.com. The SongBike Chord-Melody Songbook Vol.1, 30 all-time favorites arranged for solo guitar. I recommend it highly. I hope you check out the YouTube video, free YouTube video here on my YouTube channel of me playing all 30 of those songs. It's a good listen. And you're welcome to listen to the video without even buying the book. Just listen to it. But I think it'll whet your appetite, and you'll say, oh, those are kind of easy, but they sound really good. I'm going to get that book. Remember, the book is an ebook. An ebook, it comes into your email inbox. It does not arrive in the mail. You're welcome to print out your own copy, but it does not come in the mail. Okay. I'm going to say hello, a few hellos. Hello, Chris. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Caddis. Hello, Scott, Bruce, Rock Lobster, Matt, Thunder Ace, Booba John. Hey, everybody, we have a poll up and running. If you haven't taken part in the poll yet, let me tell you what the poll question is. A question I'm very curious as to what your answers are. The question is, it's sort of like, finish this sentence. When I practice, I focus mainly on one song. Or you focus on a variety of things. Or you just play random stuff. And I chose those words carefully. Focus, focus, random. No judgment. I've done all three of those things, and I still do. But I try to stay focused. But hey, you know, this is an anonymous poll. If some of you feel like you spend your practice time just doing random stuff, and that gives you pleasure, and that's great. That's, you know, and every day can be different. But on a typical day, which category do you fall in? Do you focus mainly on one song? You sit there in your hopefully comfortable chair, and you play that one song, and that's what you do. Do you do a few different things? Or thirdly, do you just play random stuff, and that whatever you do on Thursday might be different than what you do on Friday? I get it. I get it. So do vote in that poll if you have not, if you have not done it already. Hold on, let's shut this down. What's going on? Okay, there we go. All right, my friends. Shall we talk about the most future-thinking guitarist? I think we should. And I'm going to make an effort here to pull up this, because this label got my attention, just like I'm thinking it's probably getting your attention. And here is who we're talking about. And I ought to be able to share this. Okay. Mary Halverson. Mary Halverson. There we go. And there we go. No, we don't want that. We want this. Mary Halverson. Okay, have that right there. Okay, and there's the quotes from none other than National Public Radio. Mary Halverson, the most future-seeking Oh, I said future looking. Sorry, future seeking. I like it even better. The most future seeking guitarist working right now. An unflinching original who has revealed new possibilities within the music. What? And the Jazz Times says no one is making music like this. Wow. Okay. So you can see why I got my attention, right? In the description of this video, I'll put a link to one of her videos, but there's plenty of them out there. Very, very interesting stuff. So I encourage you all to check out Mary Halverson, and you will see where these accolades are coming from. Pretty jazzy stuff. Some very interesting dissonance. I found a cover of her doing With a Little Help from My Friends by the Beatles. That was just so wrong and so wrong, but you couldn't, it was like a train wreck. You couldn't stop listening to it. Anyways, very, very interesting, very talented guitarist. But that's kind of faint praise compared to what has already been said about her. But you can see why it got my attention. The most future-seeking guitarist working right now. I love that. Future-seeking. I have to admit, I don't think I'm future-seeking. But it's got me thinking, well, what does that mean? Should I be? Should we all be? I don't know. I just want to play cool stuff. I don't want to, oh. Anyways, very interesting woman. Oh, and it turns out her birthday was 3 days ago. I mean, total coincidence, I know, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, her birthday was October 16th, just a few days ago. Hey, I saw Deborah. Are you still there? I thought, Deborah, you mentioned it was your birthday yesterday. Deborah, I don't know if you're still in the chat. Anyways, Mary Halverson. Now you know when I know. And like I said, I'll put a link to one of her many videos in the description of this video. I encourage you to check it out. And that's why I'm also including her in the segment we call Some of the Coolest Musicians on YouTube. Oh, by the way, who else am I going to put in that category this week? I cannot stop listening to, I want to make sure I get their names. I listen to them all the time. The new album, the group is called Hermanos Gutierrez. Hermanos Gutierrez. And their newest album that I listened to a lot with some decent headphones so I can really enjoy it. The album is called Sonido Cosmico. S-O-N-I-D-O, Sonido Cosmico. And that's probably not how you pronounce it, but I'm sticking with it. Hermanos Gutierrez. I'll put a link probably to one of their most recent songs in the description of this video. Such beautiful, beautiful stuff. I put it on when I'm going around my studio doing stuff and I want to have music on because heaven forbid there be a moment of silence in my life. So I crank up their stuff in my headphones and then I do stuff. And I love this album so much. And it just came out in 2024. Hey, did you guys on your social media, are you guys seeing lots of Grammy-related postings, like people saying, please nominate my album, please consider nominating my album for a Grammy in the following categories? I'm seeing a lot of that. And I'm fascinated by the Grammys because of all the categories that don't get a lot of attention, right? We'll talk about it more when the Grammys happen, when is that? February, March? I forget when the Grammys happen. There's so many talented people who are nominated, and then of course some of them win in these categories that just you got to scroll down really low to see some of these winners, and the music is so good, oh my God, the music is so good, and they just don't get the attention. But it's a great way to discover new music. So when even if it's just the nominations, if you can find a list of the nominations, but certainly the winners, scroll to the bottom, the very bottom, like non-classical producer of the year, or whatever, go to the very bottom and then start scrolling up. And there's so many fascinating categories and fascinating musicians. I can't get enough. Every year, my poor wife, when the actual Grammy night happens and all the big names are out there performing and it's a big deal, I say to myself, I say to her every year that there could be a whole alternate concert that doesn't resemble the actual night, the actual show whatsoever, with so many talented people. And it would be the most amazing night. It would be 4 hours of some of the best stuff you've ever heard, ever, by people you've almost never heard of. It could be a whole alternate concert. I get worked up about it. And it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. And yet, come on. Oh my God. You know, it would be the antidote to what many people feel, which is there's no good music nowadays. All the music nowadays is, you know, it's people can't play their instruments. They can't sing. They can't whatever. They can't. It's not as good. I get it. And yet there's all this amazing talent out there. You just have to scroll way down and find it, and find it. Okay. Poopa John says, anybody ever get cut by a guitar string? Yeah, ouch. I know that. I still manage to jab myself when I change a set of strings after all these years. I don't know. Okay, Mary Halverson, thank you, Mary. And keep your eyes open. Maybe she'll come through your town. There you go. All right. I thought I'd take a minute just for the fun of it and play a song for you out of this book right there. Some of you say, what is a chord melody? And I will show you. And some of you say to yourself, I know exactly what a chord melody is, but I can't resist. I think a request from one of you guys was for the folk song called The Water is Wide, and James Taylor does a version of it. And I forget if I based this on his version or not. Why am I choosing this one to play for you tonight? It's only one page, and that means I can play it without worrying about flipping pages. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 1. So just then I was playing a lot of D's, A's, B minor, and 1 up the neck D. 5 on the first string, 7, 7. Oh. There we go. Such a pretty tune, right? Okay, so a chord melody approach. You heard the melody, but you heard occasional little strums in there supporting the melody, right? It's the equivalent of background singers coming in and supporting specific moments during the vocal performance, right? Except you are the background singers and you are the lead singer at the same time, right? Okay, such a beautiful way to present any beautiful melody. Poopa John says, are those cowboy chords? Oh yeah. D. When it came to the A, I grabbed it with one finger because I could. When the A shows up, or sometimes it shows up as a full A, but later in the tune, I just needed a few notes of an A chord. So yeah. B minor, easy peasy. And like I said, one little up the neck D chord, 5, 7, 7. Okay, so this book is full of a variety of songs in that style. Get yourself a copy. There's a couple of Christmas songs for those of you who are thinking ahead to December. Beatles songs. What else? Tom Waits, Bob Dylan, Fields of Gold by Sting. So much good stuff. So song-bike.com. You order it, comes instantly into your email inbox, and then you can print it out or not print it out. Just keep it on your computer screen, and life is good, you know. Okay, my friends, keep the questions coming in. It's almost time for our play along song. Here's a dumb question for you. A little segment that I call my own dumb question of the week. You ready for a dumb question? Can you play an open-tuned song? Say the guitar and the original is tuned an open G chord. Can you play that without retuning your guitar? Can you? I mean, is it humanly possible? Do you have to tune your guitar differently just to play that one song? Kind of a dumb question, right? I mean, if that's how the song is written, you got to tune it that way. But is there any wiggle room at all? Can you fudge it a little bit? And the answer is sometimes you can. Sometimes. Most of the time, you really can't. You really have to be in that open tuning. Anybody here feel comfortable going into open tuning? Some people do it all the time. Boom, boom, boom. They change. Life is good. Other people, you just want to keep your guitar in tune. You don't want to start messing with it, right? It's like you're comfortable, you're in tune, and you know you might have a little concern, a little anxiety about tuning it any other way, tuning your 6 strings any other way, because then you have to get it back again. What if something goes wrong? What if you break a string? I get it. I get it. You should still do it, but I get it. By the way, speaking of broken strings, highly recommend all of you to get yourself 2 sets of strings. With your acoustic player, get 2 sets of acoustics. Electric player, get 2 sets of electrics. You always want to have spare strings, but there's this wonderful sense of security in having 2 sets of strings, just in case you break something. You put on the new string, you break it again, or I don't know, you decide it's time for new strings. You take all the old ones off, you put on the new ones, something doesn't go right, you still have that spare set of strings. So use the Sweetwater affiliate link in the description of this video and order yourself a couple of pairs of strings, a couple of sets of strings. Strings are so inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. But having 1 set of strings in the background, one package of strings, makes me nervous. Just treat yourself, get yourself a second one. But anyways, that's my dumb question of the week. Do you have to retune your guitar just because the original is in open tuning? And most of the time you do, but there's exceptions. There's times. There's an occasional Rolling Stone song that is in an open tuning. Keith Richards is a big fan of that open G tuning, but there's an occasional Rolling Stone song that's recorded in that tuning that you can do a pretty decent version of without going in that tuning. Having said that, if you really like a song that much, tune your guitar differently. It's worth it. So many things make more sense when you're in the correct tuning for that song. So it's worth it. I mean, if you really like a song that much and you really want to learn it that badly, then it's worth it. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Charlie Beagle says, what's up with 7-string guitars? What is the 7th string and why would anyone want this? I don't know. Fair question. It's 1 lower, right? Anybody out there have a 7-string guitar? It's a low B. B as in Bravo. So it's an extra fat string, and typically it's tuned to B. But then again, I don't know if there is a typical, but I think that's how they're marketed. Why would anyone want it? Well, to be different, to be creative, to get that lower sound. I get the impulse. I'm not inspired to go get a 7-string guitar myself. I've never given it a moment's thought. But I get where people are coming from, where certain people, they want to shake things up, and that's one way to do it. Also, if your favorite guitar players do it, then I can see why you'd want to do it, to walk in their footsteps. There might be some of your favorite songs might feature a guy playing a 7-string guitar, and then it totally makes sense for you to get one and figure out how to play those songs. But yeah, I mean, it's not on my radar, but I get it. Many of us, our shopping decisions, our practicing decisions, are hugely based on the music, that our favorite music, right? We love it. And we think, well, if that person does this, then that makes sense for me to do it too. Whether it's a type of guitar, type of amplifier, type of string, type of stuff you practice, Hey, Death, Kira, Cole, Hearted, Alistair, hello. Thanks for being here. So yeah, anybody out there have a 7-string guitar? And anyone even think about it? Maybe some of you think, yeah, next payday, I'm going to get myself a 7-string guitar. I'm curious. Hey, I mentioned the Pogues tribute concert. I got my new issue of Songlines magazine. I love this magazine. Opens my eyes to a bunch of things around the world. And hey, in case you're a big fan, Shane McGowan passed away about a year ago, November of last year. Shane McGowan of the Pogues. And so there's a couple tribute concerts. December 22nd in Manchester, England, and December 17 in Dublin. Now you know what I know. In case you're a Pogues or Shane McGowan fan. Now you know. Hey, here's something I want to return to after I have a little of this cider from West Seneca, New York. Not bad. Okay. Where are we here? Why is there nothing like the first time? What am I talking about? Nothing like the first time. There's a phenomenon that it's not that it makes me crazy, but I need some answers. And this is a question that I would definitely ask a neuroscientist, and I would press them for an answer because it makes me crazy. Everybody plays the new homework, the new assignment, the new lesson, the new thing your teacher shows you. Everybody plays it best the first time. And the second time gets a little worse. The third time gets a little worse. The fourth time, everybody in the room is frustrated. What happened? Why is the first time the best time, at least in that moment? You guys know I teach lessons. Today I taught 6 lessons. A lot of days I teach 7, 8, 9, 10 lessons in a day. So those are a lot of opportunities for me to witness this exact thing. And I think I pretty much see it every day, at least once a day with at least one student. You get what I'm saying? I say, oh, here's a cool riff. Maybe the Soul Man riff. Remember we did Soul Man a minute ago. I show them a cool riff, a cool scale, something that's relevant, in the lesson. Knock on wood, it's relevant. And the student looks at it and they play it pretty well on their first try. I've been known to say, stop, don't do it a second time. Don't do it. Don't do it. Time to go. Lesson's over. You sounded great. Go home and practice it. Because I know what's coming next. Why? Why is the second time worse? I have my own theories. And the third time is worse than the second time. It gets progressively worse. And the students' veins start bulging. And then they work their way back up to where they were in the beginning. And the lesson ends. And it's like we both went on this weird little journey where our heads were exploding. So that's a phenomenon I see constantly for decades. If you guys, I'm sure you have had that experience. And now you know it's a real thing. There's nothing like the first time, right? So what's up with that? I don't know. It's above my pay grade. That's never stopped me from taking a guess. Other parts of your brain start getting involved. It's like too many cooks in the kitchen. The first time you do something, obviously your brain is involved. One part of your brain is involved and you do a pretty good job on it. The second time, I don't think that part of your brain suddenly turns off. I think other parts say, oh, I know. I let me help, and that's my guess. Why things go downhill briefly, although not briefly enough. Makes everybody crazy. Just it's cuckoo. Why is there nothing like the first time? So that's my guess. It's almost as if you want to keep that state of innocence where you look at something online or from a teacher or whatever, and you play it with kind of this clear, like things are what they are. 5 is a 5, a middle finger is a middle finger, and you just play it, And then you want to keep that state where a 5 is still a 5 and a middle finger is still a middle finger. And just do it a second time. Don't even think about it. Just do it a second time. Do it a third time. And yeah, it doesn't work that way. I don't know. Too weird. Too weird. But I wouldn't make a big production about it, except I see it all the time. All the time. Not every student in every lesson, but I can't believe I left that off the list of things I would ask a neuroscientist. So I just added it to the list. Oh well. Okay, my friends. Hey, now's as good a time as any to jump into this play along song of the week. You guys might remember that I'm trying, not successfully, to avoid getting demonetized constantly by YouTube. And it's these, I hate to say it, it's these guitar play along songs that we do, about halfway through the show. This is what gets me, gets these videos demonetized. Not every single week, but, often enough. It's no fun. Not that, I'm making $1 million from this, but, I put some work in. You guys are here, and it shouldn't, I don't know. So here's my point. The song we're about to do, should I say the name? I'm not going to say the name. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. I'm not going to say the name because I think it's interesting to see how the bots react. But me not saying the name, that didn't work. That doesn't keep the bots from finding out. And it has nothing to do with me typing in the name in the description. I've been demonetized without either of those things, without saying the name of the song out loud and without typing it into the description. What are you going to do? Okay. Nevertheless, where are we here? Come on. Why is this tricky? There we go. We want this right here. Okay. Window. What do you think of that? What do you think of that right there? Can you see that right there, my friends? Okay, there you go. There's your song. Isn't that fun? You remember the screen grab thing? Go ahead and do a screen grab of that. You're going to want to do 2 screen grabs. That's the song that we're going to play in hopefully in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. That's the song we're going to play. So do a screen grab of that, okay? And then, can I do this over here? No, it's okay. And then, bear with me. That's the actual thing we're going to do. But here is what you need to play the song accurately. How is that right there? Can you see that? Yeah, there we go. So do a screen grab of that too, if you're so inclined. Okay. So now you know the song, and here's what we need. Everyone see that okay? Let me know in the chat if you cannot see the A minor, B minor with a star. Okay, so now begins the preparation for the play along, and in a few minutes we'll do the actual play along. So what you need for this anonymous song, if you want to be as accurate as possible, you start on an A minor chord. You slide that up 2 frets. It is now a type of a B minor chord. But because of the open skinny first string and the open 5th string, it has this jazzy nature to it. Hear that? Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now you could stick with that A minor and this, I'm just going to call it B minor, although it's a fancy B minor. You could just stick with that. Marvelous night for a moon dance. You could stick with that back and forth. If you want to be one of the cool kids, see that A minor with a circle? Take your ring finger and just flatten it out. 5th fret, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers. Does it have to be the ring finger? It doesn't have to be, but it's going to work nicely. A minor, here's the sequence. This is the heart of the song right here. regular old-fashioned A minor for 2 strums. This B minor for 2 strums. Now check out my ring finger. My ring finger is on the 3rd string, 4th fret. It's going to just reach up 5th string and flatten out 5th fret. I'm sorry, 5th fret. It's a type of an A minor chord, long story short. Okay, see how that works? The ring finger is so close anyways. And then back to B minor again. And there's your sequence. A minor, B minor, this thing, back to B minor, the marvelous night for a moon dance. Now you don't have to do this, you know, 1 finger A minor. It's just that, oh, it sounds so good, you know, and it's more, I mean, it's how the song goes. If that's not comfortable for you, you could just stick with the A minor, back and forth. Okay, you see there's a D minor on there, an E7. I'm just going to do the easiest possible 2-finger E7. Later on, you'll see a G chord comes up, and you know I'm always pushing everybody to do G with their middle ring and pinky. In the context of this song, it makes sense. Okay, so please do a screen grab of that. I'm going to put it behind me, but it's right there on the screen, you know, right there waiting for you. Okay. That's basically everything your fretting hand needs. In terms of strumming, I'm doing a little bouncy thing with my fretting hand. I don't know if you can see that. I squeeze when I strum, and then I just relax a little bit, and it creates what you're hearing, that thunk, thunk. You don't have to do that, but I recommend it. And if you're not comfortable with it yet, there's something to practice. It helps if you only strum the ones you're touching, because then when you relax your fingers and don't squeeze so hard, the sound goes away. You can also contribute to that staccato kind of sound with a little bit of palm muting. Notice my right hand snaps back right after I strum it. And that essentially gets the same effect as when my left hand relaxes for a second. So both hands are contributing to that. Whatever you do, don't overthink it. It's not like you can't play the song if you can't do some sort of muting or something. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to keep the, over here, I'm going to keep the right hand simple at first. Hold on, there we go. Okay, hopefully now you can see the actual structure of the tune. I'm going to keep, to the best of my ability, I'm going to keep the right hand doing simple downstrokes at first. Oh, see my cursor here? There we go. Those little slash marks under the A minor and B minor, everything, that's how many times you strum. So like in the intro verse, the A minor for 2 beats or 2 strums, the B minor for 2. Later on in the pre-chorus, you can see the D minor is 4 strums, A minor is 4 strums, and so on. Sometimes you have one like an E7 in the chorus, the end of the chorus. See that E7 right there for just 1 strum? Okay, so here's my point. At first, I'm going to keep my playing to nice, steady downstrokes, okay? Nothing fancy. I'm thinking partway through the tune, I'll get a little more syncopated, a little more authentic. If you keep doing what it says there, though, those nice, we'll be on the same page. Like I'm taking the high road, you're taking the low road, and we'll end up together. So you don't have to do that syncopated strumming. You can just, even while someone else is doing this. That's That's okay. I'm going to try to keep it slow and steady. Caddis, you're asking a great question. Caddis says essentially that thing was a C major chord, that 5-5-5. Yes, you are 100% right. The reason I'm referring to it as A minor is those three notes, second string 5, third string 5, fourth string 5. The three notes, the names are E, C, and G. And bear with me, those are three of the four notes of an A minor 7 chord. So I would argue that I'm implying an A minor 7 by playing a C. A C chord is C, E, and G, and A minor 7 is A, C, E, and G. Okay, so in this context, in this specific context, this could be interpreted as an A minor 7 chord. If you want to put a fine point on it, crank down your bar here to include the skinny string 5. That's the note A, and then for sure now you have a 4-note chord A, E, C, and G. Then you truly have an A minor 7 chord. Well, then why am I not teaching that? Because that high note doesn't fit the vibe of the song. Just then I did not include that skinny first string, and it sounds more like how the song truly goes. So you're bringing up an excellent point. I hope I answered it. In this case, long story short, context is everything. Okay, so the intro / verse, that's the heart of the tune. That's, if you want to practice one thing, that's the thing. That's the heart of the song. And remember that A minor with a circle, you could just do regular A minor. You don't have to do that thing, okay? If you're not comfortable with it, just stick with regular A minor. So A minor, B minor, A minor, B minor. Chorus, the pre-chorus. The big thing about the pre-chorus is you're going to 4 strums. The 4 strums per chord, which you did not do in the beginning of the song. That's the big thing about the pre-chorus. The pre-chorus is when you sing, oh, the night's magic seems to whisper and hush. That's the pre-chorus. That's where it goes to D minor. And the soft moonlight seems to shine in your blush. Okay. The chorus, 7 times. See that repeat sign? 7 times. That's a lot of back and forth. D minor, A minor. Can I just have some more romance with you, my love? Back and forth, back and forth. You could count to 7. Nothing wrong with that. If you kind of know the tune, I just make some more romance with you, my love. Bam. And that bam is when you finally finished all 7 of those, and it's time to hit that E7. Bam. That's the E7 is a very dramatic chord. I would say actually the E7 is the only dramatic chord in the song. My love. And then the whole thing. See that big black arrow? The whole thing just repeats. The top of the page, intro / verse, pre-chorus, and chorus, that's the entire tune. That whole thing happens 4 times. Just there's that piano and sax solo. But even when the piano and sax solo happen, it's still that same form. Finally, you get to the outro. The outro is the same as the intro. And at the very end of the tune, see the bottom of the page? At the very end of the tune, you got some quarter note triplets. The A minor, G, 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 F, 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 E minor, E minor, E minor, D. Can I just have one more romance with you, my love? And there's that A minor. So the bottom line is sort of the, it's a big dramatic finish. I know I'm zipping through this kind of fast. My hope is that this whets your appetite and you come back to this video and you dig into whatever parts are tricky for you. Okay, so we're going to start in a minute. I'm going to switch out this thing. You know what? I can just leave it up there. Okay, so we've never done this before, you guys, where you have it on your screen. This is kind of cool. You have it on your screen, and you can see me if you're curious. I know I'm kind of small there, but if you're curious if I'm doing the A minor, the B minor, you kind of see my hand. I don't know. What do you think? Does this work for you? I need some feedback. Does this work for you? I kind of dig it. because I figure seeing me is fine, but it's nice to be able to see what's going on there the whole time. Okay. Wet my whistle. Rock Lobster says, I like it. Excellent, man. Excellent. I'm going to take it slow and sing it low. That's how it's going to be. Okay. How about that? Pretty good. All right, my friends, I'll see you on the other side. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Well, it's a marvelous night for a moon dance, where the stars up above in your eyes. A fantabulous night to make romance, 'neath the cover of October skies. All the leaves on the trees are falling to the sound of the breezes that blow, and I'm trying to please the calling of your heartstrings that play soft and low. The night's magic seem to whisper and hush, and the soft moonlight seems to shine in your blush. Can I just have one more moon dance with you, my love? Can I just make some more romance with you, my love? Well, I wanna make love to you tonight. I can't wait till the morning has come, and I know now the time is just right. Straight into my arms you will run. When you come, my heart will be waiting to make sure that you're never alone. There and then all my dream will come true, dear. There and then I will make you my own. Every time I touch you, you just tremble inside. And I know how much you want me that you can't hide. Can I just have one more moon dance with you, my love? Can I just make some more romance with you, my love? Now I'm going to skip ahead to the outro, right? We're going to treat this like the outro. Can a moonlight, oh, on a magic night, one more dance with you in the moonlight, on a magic night. Here comes the big dramatic finish. Get your A minor. Can't I just have one more moon dance with you, my love? All right. How'd you do? How'd you do? Obviously, I skipped past the flute piano solo section. Great flute solo, great piano solo. It's the exact same form. It's all this stuff. It's the same form. Intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, all that same stuff, just with soloing. That's the third time through. The fourth time through, it's essentially Van Morrison sings the first verse again, and then it goes into the outro and that cool dramatic finish. So you could say I did half the tune and skipped the second half and went into the outro. Okay. So now that is my style of play along. Number 50, and a good one. And it references October, right? A fantabulous night to make romance beneath the cover of October skies. Awesome. Couldn't have planned it better. It's my kind of tune, man. Slow, beautiful, famous, easy chords, but with a twist, right? That whole thing of A minor up to B minor, when I learned that many years ago, I never knew that was a thing. In my mind, that's the moon dance thing. I didn't know that was like a, so there's enough here to like say, hey, I learned something today. I learned to take an A minor, move it up, and then it's a B minor. If you include the open skinny first string or the open A string, it's a B minor with some jazzy feel to it. So yeah, that's my kind of idea for a perfect play along song. By the way, it's very easy for me to imagine a songwriter like Van Morrison doing this, strumming and saying, I wonder what happens if I move up 2 frets. For lack of a better term, it's kind of a primitive approach to chord changes. I'm going to start on a chord and I'm going to move it up and see what happens, And if you're Van Morrison, you turn it into a song like that. Now, I have no idea how he wrote the song, but it's easy for me to imagine someone who can play the guitar, but they're not, they're working with the skills that they have. They're not trying to reinvent the instrument. A minor up 2 frets. Like, oh, wow, that's a thing, right? That's a thing. All right. Now for the fun. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, do you get a screen grab of that? I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, here we go. Stop sharing. Excellent. Now, in case you're curious, I think I can show you a master list of everything that we've done. Okay, let's see if this will work. Boom. The print might be a little bit small, but that, and then back to this. Okay, see that list on your screen? I know it's a little bit small. That is pretty much every song we've ever done. I'm going to see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. Hold on. How about that? Almost too big. My porridge is too hot. My porridge is too cold. My porridge is just right. Oh, we can't get them all in. Oh, it's so many songs. I know. I'm trying to make it bigger. I know. I'll make it big and I'll scroll. So if you missed, okay, you see that? Okay, all right, I'll scroll a little bit. If you missed any of these just head on back to those live streams. Okay, the number in parentheses is the number live stream where we did that song. So Ain't No Sunshine from live stream 51. What was the first one? The first one was good old Helpless. See Helpless right there? Helpless, number 20. That was our first play along. Look at all those songs, man. Anybody played every single one of these? Maybe. Anybody, been to most, seen most of these? When you see a number like, see how it says higher and higher, 30.2? That was sadly an occasion where our live stream was interrupted and we had to start fresh. So, segment number 1 and segment number 2. So that's all. That's what that 30.2 means. Look at all those songs. You guys, you should be, if you've played a quarter of those songs and invested some time in the chords and the strumming and all that stuff, you should be proud of yourselves. 50 tunes. Look at that. That is a lot. So all of these tunes, I hate to use the word easy, but these are what I call accessible. And I don't know any songs more, I don't know any songs more accessible than these. I hope to come up with more and more that are equally accessible, meaning You know, the chords are not too tricky. The strumming doesn't have to be tricky, but you're in the same key as the original. You can play along with the original. Look at all those tunes. Okay, so what do we do today? Moon Dance. I put, yeah, there's Moon Dance on the list, number 69. Look at that. Oh, that means next time I see you guys, it'll be live stream number 70. Okay, so there we go. A lot of good stuff here. Pretty decent variety. I know there's a lot of classic rock on there, but I see some Irish tunes, some folk tunes, a little bit of country, a little bit of blues, you know. So hey, again, if you have, you know, stuck with me and attempted some of those tunes, maybe picked a few to really work on, that's awesome. I mean, that's 50 tunes. You guys, you know, you get to play at an open mic night. Typically, it's like 3 tunes, right? Open mic night, 3 tunes. I mean, just pick 3 of those tunes. You can do it. You can do it. Oh, A to Z, that's so funny. A to Z Me says, the song tutorial that made me subscribe to your channel was Bob Dylan's song, Senor. I love that song. Yeah, I love that song so much. I was making a video every day for a little over a year. And sometimes I would pick a song to teach online. I just liked it. I just liked the song. And I didn't have any reason to believe it would get a bazillion views. And sometimes I would just do it anyways. Like, you know, and the reverse is true. Sometimes I did a song that I didn't particularly like, but I knew it was a popular song, and plenty of people do like that song. So why not teach it? But Senor was one of those. I kind of did that for me. I love that song so much. That's since you brought it up, to me, that's an example of a perfect song. That song checks so many boxes, lyrically. Of course, lyrically, but melodically, the overall effect of the song, when you put all the pieces together, you know, creating something with the sum is greater than the parts, or the parts are pretty good. I mean, that song just kills it. That's such a great song. The song we're talking about is Bob Dylan's song "Senor" from the Street Legal album. I love that song. You can't change my mind. Rock Lobster, you've been playing the You Wreck Me, the Tom Petty song, the You Wreck Me, you've been working on that one. Excellent. From Livestream 66. Yeah. Hey, Rock Lobster, thank you for your super chat. A super chat is how you can make a donation to the cause. By the way, when you do make a super chat, guess where the money goes? Pens, Sharpies, blank paper, ink for my printer. Yeah, I wish I could tell you it went into something more glamorous. Nope. Printer ink, which I found out not that long ago that was much cheaper at Walmart than at Staples. All these years I was buying printer ink from Staples, and it didn't even occur to me that Walmart sold it. Now I know, save a few bucks. I go through a lot of printer ink. So there you go. There you go. Friends, I'm going to take a breath. Always a pretty good idea. Having fun? You having a good weekend so far? How's your Saturday? Was it a pretty good Saturday? Mine was okay. I stopped in a coffee shop. Cool thing about where I live, since you asked, there's about 5 different places for me to get a good cup of coffee, and none of them are Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. There's plenty of Dunkin' Donuts and there's a Starbucks, but there's all these cool coffee places. Man, you go in there, you get a coffee, a homemade muffin. Where I live, coffee and pizza. If you're looking for coffee or pizza, you can't avoid coffee or pizza everywhere you go. I like to think that I found a balance between not too much of either one of those things. Coffee and pizza, that's New England for you. But what a beautiful neighborhood. Any neighborhood where you can just, you know, you're just heading down Main Street and you just think, where do I feel like stopping for a nice, good cup of coffee today? And there's places, okay, one more thing. There's places I don't even go to because there's too many good places. These other places, I assume they have good coffee, but there's too many good places I don't even stop in. And I know I should give them a try. And it's not because I think all coffee is good coffee. Sure, there's bad coffee out there, but I'm so spoiled. That's all I'm saying. That's all. Any Brian Regan fans out there? Brian Regan is on tour. I think he's coming through the East Coast soon. Brian Regan. We're Brian Regan fans in our house, in my house. Okay. Oh, I told you I would tell you a student story. Here in small town Connecticut, we have a volunteer fire department. I was a volunteer firefighter for 8 years, and I'm still in touch with a bunch of the volunteer firefighters across the street, right over there at the firehouse, and several of them come to me for lessons. Well, one of them was scheduled for a lesson on Monday morning, and I heard the sirens across the street. I knew something was going on, and it turns out that while this student was getting ready to come to his lesson, he's a volunteer firefighter, right? His pager went off and said, "Hey, there's a vehicle fire, a car on fire." And it turns out it was right in his neighborhood. In fact, for him to come to his lesson, he would have had to drive by the vehicle fire. So of course he has to respond. He doesn't have to, but it's a volunteer department. But you're, especially on a Monday morning, a lot of the volunteer firefighters are at their jobs. So anyone who's around, it's even more important that you respond to the call because, it's not a convenient time for most of the rest of the department to just respond to the call. So here's my point. He made a decision that he crunched the numbers in his head. He could probably make it to his lesson in time and still respond to the fire call in his personal vehicle. But to be on the safe side, just make sure he wouldn't have to go back home, he threw his guitar and his lesson material in the car with his fire gear, his, bunker gear, his helmet, gloves, all that stuff, goes to the fire call, which is on his way to the lesson, helps put out the fire. It was a little Subaru with the whole engine was fully involved. It needed more than just a water can, a fire extinguisher. It needed like the big boy hose. Hopefully they pulled what they call the bumper line. Some fire trucks, if you're lucky, you have a small diameter hose attached to the front bumper of the fire truck. And it's very convenient to pull that, use it with the water that's in the tank of the truck, and then it retracts nicely back into the bumper on a reel, as opposed to the fire hose you have to pull off the truck, and it's bigger and heavier, and it takes forever to get it back on the truck after. So I'm hoping they pulled the bumper reel, hit the Subaru with that. And but now that I think about it, he said he had to stay after to roll up the hose. So I guess they had to use the large diameter hose, or larger. But what's my point? He threw his guitar and lesson material in his personal vehicle, goes to the fire call, and then continues on to his lesson. It made it to me for our lesson right on time. I'm very touched by that. I just think that's so cool. The things people do because playing the guitar is important to them. And it worked out great. So he made the call, he helped extinguish the fire, and still made it to his lesson. So I think that's very cool. And I have a student quote of the week that I want to share with you. One of my students, we're talking about the progress that he's making. Is one of my adult students, happens to be an online student. And we're talking about, none of us are getting as good as we want to, as fast as we want to, right? That's the nature of what we do with our musical instruments. But he said something. He said, I can pick up things faster now. You can learn things faster. I thought, yes, I like how you said that. I can pick up things faster now. Doesn't mean that he's mastered every skill in the book, just like I have not mastered every skill in the book. But he recognized, this is how I interpret what he said. He recognizes patterns. He is familiar with, some of the absolute fundamentals, your cowboy chords, some bluesy patterns, pentatonic scales. So he can pick up stuff faster because it's so familiar to him, right? And I thought that's a really good thing to acknowledge, and it's a good thing to look for when you pursue your next song that you're trying to learn, your next riff, your next thing. Chances are you are understanding it faster, right? Chances are. Doesn't mean you understand everything, but there are components, hopefully at least a few components, where you think, oh, well, okay, that's the, well, like moon dance, right? Caddis recognized right away that that's really a C chord, that 5-5-5, even though I'm calling it, the alternative A minor. So Caddis, I have no idea how well you played along with what we did. I bet you killed it. But no matter what, you recognize something that's familiar to you, and that counts. That is clearly a sign of progress for any of us to recognize what's going on. And for sure, you play something better when it's familiar, even if it's in a new context, right? Like this whole A minor, B, new A minor, back to B minor. The context might be new, but when you've done something before in another context and you know the name of it, for sure, your progress is better and faster. So that was the student quote of the week, and I love it. I love it. Bruce, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. And Bruce has a question. Bruce says, Jonathan, I know you have a Martin Dreadnought, the D size. Yes, I'm thinking about getting a smaller body acoustic. I also have a nice Dreadnought. What's your take on small acoustics? 100%. Yeah. I can't recommend a slightly smaller guitar highly enough. Why do I own a big Dreadnought size? If I say that, I'll tell you. My first acoustic was a small body Gibson, a Gibson that had been through the war. It was an old Gibson. It had been repaired many times. I paid $400 for it in 1987, maybe. And I mean, just a cool guitar that had really been played and beat up a lot. And it sounded okay, but it was a very small body, didn't have a whole lot of warmth or projection or anything, right? But it was a cool guitar, when it was time for me to, when I decided it was time for me to get a different acoustic guitar, a big Martin Dreadnought was so profoundly different than that little Gibson. I was, it won me over. I thought, wow, I want that big boom kind of sound. And I got it. I mean, that's exactly what you get from a big Martin Dreadnought. What I didn't realize, or what I came to realize, is I just didn't need that much volume, that much power. And I had my friend install a pickup in there so I could plug right in, whether it's open mic night or performing, I could plug in my big Martin Dreadnought and make sure it's even louder, And then I'd find myself playing kind of gently and cautiously, because it was such a big sounding instrument, especially once it's plugged into some PA at some coffee shop, so it just didn't have to be that way. So because that was my experience, it's a great guitar. I love the guitar. In hindsight, I could have got a smaller size instrument, what they call a concert size, a triple O size, not a jumbo, although I guess I could have done a little comparison with a jumbo versus a Dreadnought, but a concert size or a triple O size probably in the long run would have suited me better, and I would have been able to get everything I needed out of that instrument. So I think a small acoustic is a great idea. If you're a smaller person, then for sure a smaller guitar is just more comfortable, But even if you're not, James Taylor, I think James Taylor's a pretty big guy, and he plays a pretty small guitar. He just doesn't need that big boomy projection, One of the reasons that you would get a big Dreadnought-sized guitar, you're playing with a bunch of other people, a bluegrass band, and you're competing with banjo, mandolin, stand-up bass. You're singing 3-part harmony. Yeah, okay, a big Dreadnought size is going to be able to compete with that. Another reason they get a Dreadnought is because the industry is set up to produce millions of Dreadnought guitars, and that's sort of been the standard size guitar for decades now. In general, Dreadnought guitars can be less expensive. Or another way of putting it is, very often when you see a guitar that's not too expensive, you think, oh, I could afford that one. It's a Dreadnought size. But I'm sure the industry has changed a little bit. So, don't quote me on that. But the bottom line is the dreadnought size, I believe, is still by far the most popular acoustic guitar size. So you're going to see lots of dreadnoughts being advertised, and at all price points. And it's possible that any other size is just not quite as available as a dreadnought, but they're out there, So yeah, so go for it. If you are a finger picker, or you can foresee finger picking being the number one thing you want to do in an acoustic guitar, definitely a smaller size for sure. And even if you play with a flat pick, and other times you play with the bare fingers, the concert size or triple O size, they're big enough that you can get a nice strum out of them. In a perfect world, you go into a guitar shop and you try a bunch of them, right, and see. But yeah. Hey, how are we doing on our poll? If you haven't taken part in the poll already, here's what you need to think about. How are you going to vote? Tonight's poll question is, it's a sentence that you need to finish. When I practice, I focus mainly on one song, focus on a variety of things, and just play random stuff. I forget, can you guys see the poll results? Let me know in the chat. Can you guys see the poll results? The poll results at the moment, we have 32 votes, 31 votes in here, 32 votes. The majority, by 53% focus on a variety of things. 31% of you just play random stuff. I get it. And 16% of you, when you sit down and practice, you focus on one song, which is cool too. It's all good. There's no right or wrong. I'm just something I'm curious about. So thank you for your answers, and please keep the answers coming. If you haven't voted already, please do keep the answers coming. Poopa John says Martins sound great. They do. Yeah. Joseph Glasser says I have a Martin Jr. DR10E. It's a good travel guitar. Yeah. Scott says at first I thought my Martin 00015M was too small for me, but I got used to it and fell in love. And 4 years later, it still smells amazing. Yeah, right. The new guitars smell. Yeah, I hear you. My new guitar, the fretboard has a slightly, I hate to say it, a slightly fishy, oily kind of smell. No, it still does. I've had this for two and a half months, going on 3 months now, 2.5. And I think the smell is fading away, but it still has that smell. So I'm guessing, I don't know, I should ask. LSL Instruments, thank you, LSL, for making such a beautiful guitar. I should ask if they rubbed a certain oil into the fretboard. Just what you hope to see on a Saturday night, see some dude smelling his guitar. But it's not the satin neck what I'm smelling it. I'm smelling on the fretboard. Who knows, man? Who knows? Joseph says he just bought a Luna Gypsy acoustic electric concert, black and white ebony. He got an open box discounted guitar. He says there's lots of decent open box things on Musician's Friend, Sweetwater, and Reverb. Yeah, it could be something that someone bought and then returned. I've also heard anecdotally of retailers who are not allowed to sell a new guitar below a certain price, right? MAP pricing, minimum advertised price. Even if they want to blow them out the door, that they have their reasons to want to sell them for any price, they can't advertise below a certain price point. That's a deal they have with the manufacturer, right? And the workaround is they claim the guitar is no longer new. It's an open box. So it's been returned. It's not new anymore, although it's brand new. But they claim it's not, and then they can discount the price deeper because presumably they have too many, or they need the cash or something, so they blow it out that way. So even if you get something that has been labeled an open box, or whatever phrase they might use, it could be an absolutely brand new instrument. It could be. And if you're talking with a sales rep, it would be a crazy thing to ask them, like, hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Was this really used? Is there any chance this was just, maybe someone literally opened the box, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and then they stapled it back shut again, and it's not really used? Yeah. Oh, boy. Val says, my Martin 016NY is a nice smaller size. Oh, Val, I shouldn't say this. Val says, I only paid $84 for it, including tax, back in 1962. Holy cow. Okay, but Val, what you might not know about me, I am the son of an accountant, and that, my dad's influence rubbed off on me a little bit. So I'm going to use my inflation calculator app, which is, the app is actually called Inflation Calculator. So if we take your $84 in 1962, okay, oh, really good deal. Okay, adjusted for inflation, Val, that would be like going out and buying a guitar for $873, including tax, which, man, so you got a great deal. Was it brand new, Val, when you got it? You got a great deal in 1962. So prices have changed. I'm guessing that that same Martin guitar nowadays, a single O16NY or an extremely similar Martin guitar, I'm guessing would be, I don't know, $2,000 maybe. So adjusted for inflation, Val spent $873 back in 1962. Great. Very cool. Scott asks, speaking of oil, those guitar kits with oils and waxes, are they a good deal or a money grab? I know what you're talking about, like the care kits that have different polishes and stuff, maybe a few little tools and stuff. I can, here's what I heard. Sometimes those kits involve stuff that you're not really going to use, but they throw it in there so they can say, hey, look, you're getting 17 items for $11, but you might not use all of them, but it kind of looks good. Doesn't mean we shouldn't get stuff to take care of our guitars, but, shop around. And if you see different kits, maybe, do some research and say, okay, what am I getting for my money? And is some of it kind of filler that you're not going to use? I keep hearing good things about Music Nomad. So that would be the first brand off the top of my head that comes to mind for taking care of your instrument, whether it's tools or polishes or whatever, Music Nomad. And I'm a big fan of D'Addario and their sort of subsidiary Planet Waves. I don't know what to call it, but the Planet Waves company, the D'Addario company, I'm a big fan of anything D'Addario does. So I guess those are a couple of brand names that I would start with when you're shopping around. Hey, call your Sweetwater rep, man. Call your Sweetwater rep and say, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. I want to keep my guitar looking good, smelling good. Don't want to spend too much money. What would you get? That's what they're there for. Joseph says the guitar he bought, the Luna Gypsy Acoustic Electric Concert Black and White Ebony, says it was a store demo, brand new. He had to adjust the truss rod a little bit, and that was it, Joseph? Yeah, nice, beautiful. Joseph says the song Sundown, Gordon Lightfoot, that would be a good one for the live stream. Hey, I'll keep that in mind. I have my list of songs that, for upcoming live streams. I'll keep that in mind. Gordon Lightfoot, what a voice. I saw Gordon Lightfoot in concert in the 90s, the late 90s, and his voice is so recognizable, and it sounded great, So yeah. Okay. I'm trying to scroll in the chat. There we go. If anyone has asked a question and I have not answered it, it just means that I might have missed it. So make sure you please do ask it again, and put some question marks in advance. I think I'm banging them out here, but Joseph saw a video with a 14-string guitar. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Big Joe Williams and his 9-string guitar is a 12-string, but he left off 3 of the strings. I mean, anything goes, right? Anything goes. This time of year, Scott, speaking of taking care of your guitar, this time of year, those of you, especially with acoustic guitars who live in climates where you get a little winter, now's a good time to think about humidifying devices. Basically when you turn the heat on in your home, like we did recently, the air starts getting super dry in your house. It's already dry outside. And especially those of you with acoustic guitars, especially if you have a decent quality acoustic guitar like a Martin 016 NY from 1962, any effort you make towards humidification, your guitar will be grateful for. And maybe in the future live stream, I'll pull up the Sweetwater humidification page and we can go through some different options. But just know that anything you do is a step in the right direction. Johnny Mobasher. Yes, Johnny, I got my hair cut. It's true. It's true. I can't hide it anymore. Here it is. It got cut. It got my hair cut. Yep. I feel 10 pounds lighter. Okay. Hey, my friends, I am looking through my list. Ooh, time for major blues. You ready for some major blues? Of course you are. Because we're getting towards the end and I don't want to miss out. I mean, I don't want to neglect this little detail. Okay, bear with me, my friends. Major blues. Oh, there it is right there. I can't believe it. Okay, get ready to do a screen grab again if you are so inclined. Because I'm going to throw this major blues thing up on the screen. The major blues scale. I will share with you what I'm talking about. Come on. I don't want that. I don't want that. Come on, major blues scale. Hold on. I don't know why it's fighting me like this. And I hooked up my looper so I could play. There we go. Okay, share. Don't worry, I'll make this bigger in a second. How about that? Okay. I hooked up my looper so we could put this major blues scale in a context. Everybody see that okay? The major blues scale. Sorry for that little moon dance thing in the bottom. I'm not sure how to get rid of that. Okay, the major blues scale. And I'm going to throw it up behind me as well. It's a cool sound. It's going to be a very familiar sound. And let's see if this is as ready to go as I want it to be. Ooh, hear that? That's a C7 chord. I'm going to make it a little bit louder. Okay. All right. That was my Ditto looper. In case you don't have a looper, in case you're shopping for a new one, a link to check out that looper is in the description of this video. Okay, I'll get it going again in a second. So what was I just doing? I was just improvising using that thing you see in the scale on the page in front of you, on the screen in front of you. I chose the key of C because why not? The C major blues scale. Physically, you can look at the tab. You can see there's a 3 with a circle. That's the note C. Your A string, your 5th string, 3rd fret. That's a note C. On that same string, next comes 5, 6, 7. I'm doing those in my index middle ring. The next string, 5, 7. And then finally 5 on the 3rd string. I made it to the next C, made it up 1 octave to the next C. Is it bluesy? Yeah, but it's not the bluesiest thing you've ever heard. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so number one, whatever method gets this into your head the best, whether, see my little cursor here, whether you learn best from tab, why not? Or see that diagram at the bottom of the page. Notice that 3 that I'm pointing at with the cursor. That means that that's the 3rd fret right there, right? That is not the 1st fret. That's the 3rd fret. 3, 5, 6, 7, 5, 7, 5. Okay, a 1 octave C major blues scale. Okay, come back.